It is so exciting to see our residents, future residents, staff, friends, loved ones, and members of our construction and development teams, including our finance officers, here to celebrate our upcoming edition, Creekside. Today, yes. Today we gather to mark this moment when we officially endeavor to enhance our thriving community. We're excited to hear from our special guests and our friend Mayor Bowser, as always, and Ingleside's board chairman, Mr. Bruce Bartels. Bruce. Now allow me to introduce someone who needs no introduction, Lynn O'Connor, our president of Ingleside and our CEO, without whom none of this would be happening. Lynn?
Thank you. Isn't this a magnificent day? Yes. Are you able to hear us in the back? All right, great. So we think that it's a beautiful day today because of all of you and because of Bob Fry, who was our chair when we started this endeavor with Scott Leachman and Mick Doolittle and Dick Regal, who are all here today, and now with Bruce Bartels, and also with Mike Kelly. And Janet Kelly is one of our Ingleside singers because Mike was leading the strategic planning committee. So we're thrilled that all of you are here joining us, our residents, our future residents, our mayor. None of this could have been possible without our mayor, Randy Speck from our single member district, Randy right there, and Samantha, his wife, and everyone who is here, our architects, our contractors, Whiting Turner, Perkins Eastman, our wing team, as well as all of our board members. If you're a board member, will you raise your hand? Thank you. Thank you. And Dick, will you raise your hand, Dick Regal? There we go. And Elizabeth King and Joan Sharkey, will you raise your hand? The Women's Board in 1906, right? We still have their minutes from 1906. Now back to my script. I'm going to get in trouble because I took a little bit longer than I was supposed to. So, Catherine, thank you. I echo your sentiment, and welcome again, everyone. And we're here to commemorate this incredible day. As some of our residents say, 3 more years, 3 more years. And then we'll be able to enjoy this beautiful community that we enjoy so much with all of you, and the facilities and the programs that will be enriched and robust by all the great work that is being done today. And as you all know, Ingleside at Rock Creek, 111 years as the only not-for-profit life plan community, which used to be called Continuing Care Retirement Community, in the District of Columbia. We are so fortunate and so grateful for all of you to continue this incredible legacy. So to all of you, let's give you all a round of applause. As you know, we're a family, and families have their ups and their downs. And we want to thank all of you for living through this every single day, and for our team members who work here, working through this. We are passionate about the highest quality of care that we can provide. Your comments are always welcome so that we can know how we can do what we do better. So, what Creekside and this project reflect is Ingleside at Rock Creek's commitment to the District of Columbia, Mayor, for 111 years. And again, we want to thank you and City Council and Councilman Brandon Todd and the rest of the City Council, because it was because of our Mayor and our City Council that we are here today. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm trying to stay on script. Thank you, Lynn. It's my pleasure to introduce and express our sincere gratitude to Washington, D.C.'s 7th elected mayor and good friend to IRC, Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Thank you. Well, hello, Ingleside. I cannot be more excited to be here today to help you celebrate. And as I was sitting there, I was trying to remember my first visit to Ingleside, and I have to think it was upon the invitation of Dr. Angus and Mrs. Angus. So I want to thank you for your longtime friendship and leadership here at Ingleside. And thank you very much. Then I started thinking about all of the times you invited me to your Friday afternoon lecture. And then we would talk about schools, we would talk about commercial development, we would talk about safety, we would talk about mobility. You would tell me about your decades of service and all the interesting places that you've been and things that you have seen and contributions that you have made. And then we would retire to happy hour. One of my favorite things at Ingleside. And I have to tell you, I go around the city and I talk about the things that we have discussed together and learned together. And Dr. Angus and Mrs. Angus started to talk to me about the business of Ingleside and how the city needed to do more and be there to make sure that Ingleside could be here another 111 years. And I was happy to do it. We tried to go down one avenue, that wasn't the best one, and we figured out another avenue, and it turns out that it was. But I have to tell you, because you elected me mayor, I was in a position to do it, and because Councilmember Todd was so steadfast in securing the support of all of the other council members, we have been able to make a tremendous investment in you and us. So thank you, Ingleside. I'm very, very happy to be here. Let me also thank Commissioner Randy Speck. I understand there's some zoning things and permits that have to happen with a big project like this. And I've been mayor almost 3 years, and they tell me that we're making our DCRA work better with our ANC commissioners and communities and with the design and development community, so that when you have a great idea, your board has decided to make the investment, that we can actually turn the permits around and get things done. You say 3 more years, I say 4 more years. That's a little politics joke, because I want to be here for the ribbon cutting. It's one thing to be here for the groundbreaking and another thing entirely to be here for the ribbon cutting. But let me say this just about our city that you helped make so great. And that is, this has really never been a better time, and fiscally especially, in the history of DC government. We've had over 20 balanced budgets, clean audits, and for the first time during our administration, we had 2 straight years of no material weaknesses found in our operations. Pay people on time, get the bills out, hire, fire, all the things that governments are supposed to do, we're doing exactly the right way. We've transformed our city's economy. You all remember when we were only known as a one-company town, and that was the federal government. And we're grateful for it. The federal government presence has been a good thing in Washington, D.C. But now we have created more private sector jobs than we have public jobs. And that's why we're in such a strong position now to go after one of the biggest gets in the history of, American commerce, and that's Amazon, and that's what we're working on right now. We're also celebrating in our history almost 25 years of record low crime rates. And when I see Samantha Nolan, she's been a part of it for a good part of that time, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, teaching block captains how to work with the police to make us safer. And now we can celebrate being a really safe and strong city. But probably the biggest thing that we talk about here at Ingleside when I come for the lecture is schools and education, and how we are helping to make generations of Washingtonians to come able to live a life here, to have a fair shot. And we know that with good schools and affordable housing, people can live a high quality life in Washington, D.C. That's why talking about housing here at Ingleside is so important to us. We want all Washingtonians to be able to live where they choose and live a high quality life. And so your ability to invest in more units at Ingleside adds to the attractiveness of our city for more Washingtonians for years to come. And we do our part, not just by supporting this with revenue bonds or with the tax incentives that we were able to offer. Tax incentives are more for big companies. They're for places just like this. We can do our part with mobility, with making sure our commercial corridors work for you and transportation access is good, and that we invite you to be a part of every other thing that we're doing in Washington. So we bring our services to you, but we want you to also be a part of every part of Washington. So let me say congratulations. I'm so proud of the work that you have done because it has truly been resident focused and resident led, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for all you do for Ingleside at Rock Creek, and older adults of the district. We really appreciate it, and we're here to support you. Now, I'd like to welcome the Board of Directors Now I'd like to welcome our chairman of the board, Bruce Bartels. Bartels. Thank you, Mr. Bartels.
All my life, I've had to answer to, my last name is spelled or pronounced Bartels. It's German. But I respond to Bartlett, Bartels, and any other mispronunciation of the name that anybody arises to. So it doesn't matter.
I will never
You might not be able to tell it, but this is a very scripted set of presentations, and I'm uncomfortable with scripts. So off to the side here are my extemporaneous thoughts that I'd like to share with you. The one thing I've tried not to violate in the spirit of the scripts is brevity, so not to worry. It's my pleasure to speak to you as a representative of your board of directors. And I know they all are enthusiastic, not just about this particular project, but about this era in the Ingleside organization, where we are poised to do continuing great things. It's often tempting to talk at a time like at a groundbreaking about a building, but I'd rather talk about what it symbolizes. And to me, this building, or the proposed building, the under construction building, symbolizes commitment and understanding on the part of residents and board leadership with regard to how to sustain the mission of the organization over time as preferences change, as markets change, and this building will symbolize that understanding and that commitment. The field is undergoing dramatic changes, the field of life plan communities, continuing care communities, and it's very important for all of us to be abreast of those changes so that the organization is positioned in such a way that it can pursue successfully its mission for the next 100 years. I mean, that is the purpose of governance, is to not only oversee the present, but to try to anticipate the future in a way that the mission can be perpetuated. And I would assure you that your board is going to school with regard to how preferences are changing with regard to life plan communities. And we all know that the boomers are entering into that phase of their life. I'm one of them. And 10,000 of us a day are turning 65. So that is a huge wave, and that's going to continue for the next 20 years. So how do we position Ingleside in light of that wave, in light of changing preferences? And this building symbolizes some of that understanding put in place before my time and before many of the current board members were participants. So assuring the future, monitoring the present, those are the things that this effort represents to me. And in closing, notice brevity, I'd really like to express the board's thanks for those for whom these buildings are home, for enduring during this period of time. It's acknowledged and understood that it's inconvenient, but wait until that 36 months passes, and it will be extraordinary. We'll all be there with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Bartels. And now I'd like to introduce Reverend Robert Angus, one of our first residents and one of our most, gosh, don't get me started, just amazing, vital, helpful, and I probably shouldn't say more nice things about you than the mayor, but anyway, Reverend Angus is just a key member here, he and Jane. So if you could come up now, please, and remember a little bit about the suites and our history.
"57 years ago, President Dwight D. Eisenhower laid the cornerstone for the Presbyterian home of Washington, D.C., which came to be known as the Suites after the independent living apartments were built in 2000. That building is gone, but we remember those who live there and our present independent living apartments residents who have made a significant impact on Ingleside of Rock Creek for the past 17 years. There have been 9 presidents of the Residents Association. Harry Groves was our first president, and he was the one who organized our Residents Association. He was followed by Jack Matheson, Fisher Howe, Robert Angus, Jack Cadeau, our first woman president, Jane Angus, Sinclair Winton, Marty Villarreal, and Roger Kirk. Arsene Schmavonian was our first vice president from the Suites, and Gene Coburn organized the writing of our first bylaws. So many have participated over the years. There were long-standing committee chairs like Paige Hawk, Tom Buchanan, Ann Mayfield, Lynn Dysart, Sarah Yerkes, Joyce Edson, Ann Gralla, Zig Nagorski, and many more. We remember Suites residents like Dale McIver, Alice Eubank, Carl Hoover, Doris Niemeyer, Marion Sanger, Virginia Lee Margraf, and Ginny Weitzel, and so many who by their efforts have made our community the wonderful place to live in that it is. There were those also who by their generosity have left a lasting legacy like Irene Williams and Cammie Burnite. And I'm sure that I have left out many others who have made significant contributions to our community these past 57 years. We look forward to the new construction of the Health Services Building and the independent living apartments, and we break ground this day in anticipation for our future to come. We are grateful to those residents who have worked hard over the years to make Ingleside at Rock Creek the caring community that it is. Thank you.
As Chairman Bartels said, it's not so much about the building, even though the building is fantastic and beautiful. It's about the people, the residents and all the people that have been involved. So thank you for that sentiment. And now I hope that you will join us in the gallery next door for one of our famous Ingleside at Rock Creek receptions.